Welcome back to the Road to National series. In today's episode, I'm going to take you through a dynamic effort lower workout. So to start off here, I have dynamic effort deadlifts for this 3-week wave because the last 3-week wave I did squats. This is the first week, so I have 75% of my 1 rep max total bar plus band tension programmed. It actually came to 74% with 100 kilos of bar and 100 kilos of band, but that is fine. And these moved fantastically. This is something I've not been happy with my dynamic effort deadlifts throughout this series, throughout this year of training, is I've sort of been two motioning them, pulling them up to the top of my thighs, which is my sticking point, and then having to do a second little motion to lock it out. However, here I was blasting all the way to lockout, so I was very happy with the way those moved, and I hope to keep that sort of speed, that fast, snappy, dynamic, quick pull all the way to lockout through the rest of my dynamic training. So the first accessory here is elevated heel squats. Now, if you've been following the channel, you'll know that I have been working through a knee injury, which has been getting dramatically better. But when I experienced that injury, I couldn't do this exercise for a long time. Sending my knees over my toes this far really hurt the knee. However, I'm back in action. A couple of months ago, I reintroduced these into my trainings, but light. I was only doing like 60 kilos for sets of 8. And today marked the day that I have sort of caught up with my strength before my knee injury, in that I was doing 100 kilos here for sets of 15. So I was happy with that, and honestly, it felt like there was more in the tank. My muscular endurance in my quads feels very low because I've not been able to train them as much with this knee injury. Like when I push a tricep set to failure in sets of 15, that feels fine. But with the quads, doing these elevated heel squats, it was so challenging. And I actually did something I've never done on any exercise before, which is shout. Like, I have never seen the purpose in people shouting through sets. I thought it was just a waste of energy. I thought honestly it was just like attention seeking, and that you were only shouting just to get attention. There was no actual utility to it, and you were wasting more energy. However, as I was doing particularly this second set and it got harder and harder, that is why I'm pausing at the top of the range of motion each time, sort of standing there just to try and get back some of my energy. But I was shouting a lot. This took a lot out of me, and I was very happy with the training intensity here. And to be honest, I feel like I'm just going to up the weight for future sessions, rather than adding more reps, because I don't really want to do more than 15s. Now, one thing that did happen after this is I got a pretty bad headache. I think I've had this before to a much worse degree, and I actually had to go to hospital about a year ago for it. So it wasn't anywhere near as bad, but it does affect some of the exercises coming up for the rest of this session. I just cut it out, me like lying on the floor there. I had to go inside and take like 10 minutes off before coming back to this next accessory, which is GHDs. So this is instead of hamstring curls. I've been doing my single leg hamstring curls pretty consistently as the only hamstring accessory. Now, if you followed the channel, you'll have heard me say that the best exercise to develop any muscle is a mixture of exercises, because it overcomes the law of accommodation. If you do the same thing over and over, eventually you'll plateau. Well, for my single leg hamstring curls, I've made fantastic progress on them, but I did actually test them out and was going to do them in this workout, and I just found that I was notably weaker than I had been a while ago. Now, that can just be an off day, but I've been feeling this way for a while, and I've been feeling a little pain in the tendons at the back of my knee when doing those hamstring curls because of how much progress I've made. The weight is much heavier and is more demanding. So I'm changing up the variation. I'm doing GHDs here because they're still fundamentally knee flexion. They are a hamstring curl. Now, there's other things that are getting involved. You have sort of hip extension as well, otherwise your body would just flop down forward. But mainly finally, they're a hamstring exercise. So I haven't done these in ages, and I think I did a set of 15 to begin with and a set of 12 afterwards. Now, there is a small bend in my hips, and that's just because that's the more advantage position for the hamstrings to curl. If you had a straight line from your knees to your shoulders, it would be almost impossible to do the exercise, but they felt great. At the time of recording this, the next day, my hamstrings are a little bit tender, so I think I trained them effectively there. The next accessory here is calf raises. Now, what I was saying about the headache earlier is I think it happens because the bar, when I'm pushing for long sets, presses into my traps, and I think I have some sort of nerve that shoots in on the right hand side of my head and hurts a lot. So normally I would do calf raises with much heavier than this. However, I didn't want to load that bar up any heavier and try and aggravate my headache again. So I just stuck to 100 kilos, and the solution to not having enough weight is, of course, reps. So I think on that first set, I did a set of like 25. In my head, I was going to go for like 18 to 20. I was going to stop when I hit 20, and then I went, no, you've actually got more in the tank. And I think that's something you should bear in mind as well in your training is sometimes when you pick a number for yourself, in terms of reps, like a goal for a weight, you don't have to stop there. Like, ask yourself, can I do any more? Or just don't count reps and train to failure. So I'm a big fan of training to failure, obviously, and that is why I try and do it on at least the second set of all of my accessories. And since I've done that, I have made way more progress than I used to. So I advise you do that too. So the next accessory here is hip adduction. So I was using this roller. I haven't done these in a while. I think I've done a band for the last few times I had these programmed, but just trying to go as deep as possible. Now, this first side doesn't look as deep. When I face away from the camera, it shows how deep it feels. I don't know if it's because the camera has a curved lens and it makes it seem like I'm not as deep, or maybe it's just I'm not going as deep as I feel like I am. But I literally feel like I'm going all the way to the splits, and trying to come back up, particularly from that bottom position, is really challenging. So the way I progressively overloaded these is through range of motion. So I started doing these at the beginning of the year when I started this channel, and if you go back and just watch one of my lower workouts, you'll find this exercise in there. I'm literally going about half as deep as I am now, and this is also a very effective way of increasing your mobility / flexibility by getting strong through a range of motion. So people always think of stretching, but what can often happen is if you're just stretching, you're not getting strong through that range of motion. So you're not confident through it. As your body gets into it, like, you can't functionally go into that position in any sport or anything. You can only do it in the static stretch you're doing. However, if you train like this and get strong in a position and then have to like change direction or get down low or something in an actual athletic sport, you can functionally use that range of motion because you are strong throughout it. So the last accessory here is reverse hypers, doing these for a set of 15. Now, I was going to do 2 sets, but again, coming back to the headache, it flared up doing this exercise. I think because I'm like contracting all of my back, including my upper back. I took a moment after this set here and just grabbed my head and decided it's better not to further aggravate the injury. So that is it for today's video. I hope you did in fact enjoy the video. If you did, drop it a like, drop it a comment, subscribe, click the bell, all of that good stuff, and have a great day.